Hi and welcome. You are now entering the identity naming dimension of WeLand. Here, you will explore the potential of your community's culture and inquire what your community wishes to become. It's important to make the difference between wishes and aspirations versus whims and ideologies. A wish or aspiration is something almost physical that we can sense in our bodies. Once known and clear, it can become a feeling of hope that can be as strong as love. In this dimension, the potential of a living being, a community, emerges from the relationship between who we are and what we may become. We often meet resistance in this identity naming process. The culture and structure of our society does not make space for everyone to be accountable. An accountable community is necessary for community emancipation, where people have the information and experience they need to make decisions. However, an emancipated community is not a submissive community and can therefore face resistance when engaging in identity naming. An identity naming process can be blocked or limited by social structures and cultures when our will and our potential are defined solely through operative goals or long-term visions. These are both ways to avoid connecting with what we may become, our potential, which is an internal force that can be daunting. For example, imagine a canary that has spent all its life in a cage. When we open the door, it just stays there, blocked by the fear of freedom. Or imagine a plant growing in a pot, with its roots trying to go as deep as possible, looking for water, but which end up going around and around, generating a huge knot. If we put that plant in the ground, it will likely just stay in the same shape as the pot, incapable of regenerating itself without someone pulling apart the roots and showing them that they can grow in other directions. How can we regenerate our will and our potential? How can we become proud, free birds flying in the sky rather than canaries in a cage? How can we be a wild, diverse, abundant forest instead of an agricultural field? It's important to belong to a place and to a community. This does not mean that we need to spend our whole life in the same town, but rather that we can live any place or community from an intimate perspective, with respect and curiosity. In this dimension, we invite you to recall the prior dimensions of landscape integrity and co-sensing, all about how you perceive landscape and who makes up landscape. From there, we can develop an image of the potential of your community's culture. In other words, what the will is that emerges from the relationship between community and landscape to express itself. This can become a decolonizing process through which our cultures can become an intricate matrix of many diverse singular cultures engaged in a reciprocal relationship of intercultural dialogue. But to generate a deep dialogue, it's important to learn how to sense ourselves, how to sense the community as a whole, and how to sense place. For this reason, we propose that you be aware of how you feel while you are working in this dimension. You can do so by connecting with your inner feelings and relating them to what's happening in the group. This personal process is key to understanding and connecting with the collective process. Once we connect with the collective process, we will be capable of understanding what's emerging and therefore image what its potential is. This will allow us to see the ways our culture is expressing its potential, or also how structural violence or colonization are blocking the process. From here, we can identify leverage points for cultural regeneration and bring about the relationships that are willing to emerge between landscape and community. In a process like this, it's common to have insights into the collective intelligence, which can help us understand how we can best be at the service of the community and the landscape itself. For example, by expressing ourselves as individuals and our culture as a collective in a coherent and dynamic equilibrium. The pattern that brings consistency to the system is the identity of place. Naming it brings a sense of belonging and rootedness. Our identity defines us not for what makes us different, but for what makes us singular. And this singularity is a gift that we can offer to others.